Sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Pollination. Kinds of pollination. Depending on the source of pollen, pollination into three types. Autogamy involves chasmogamy, cleistogamy, and then deuterogamy and genogamy, the agents of pollination that brings the pollination. Now pollination is the mechanism to achieve this objective, transfer of pollen grains straight from the anther. So this is transfer of pollen grains straight from the anther, that is stamen, to the stigma of a pistil, that is female part, is termed as pollination. Now autogamy. So autogamy, there is synchrony. Autogamy in such flowers requires synchrony in pollen release and stigma receptivity, and also the anthers and the stigma should lie close to each other so that self-pollination can occur. Viola common pansy oxalis commelina produce two types of flowers, cleistogamous flowers and first chasmogamous flowers and cleistogamous flowers. So chasmogamous flowers which are similar to flowers of other species with exposed anthers and stigma. So normal flowers this that opens is chasmogamous, and cleistogamous flowers which do not open at all remains closed. In such flowers the anthers and stigma lie close to each other, so the pollination, cell pollination. Now the cleistogamous flowers are invariably autogamous as there is no chance of cross pollination leading on the stigma. That's the disadvantage. Cleistogamy is disadvantageous or advantageous to the plant, both. No chance of cross pollination, that's the disadvantage, and no need of pollinating agent, so that's the advantage. Now deuterogamy, transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of another flower of the same plant. Plants the same but the different flowers, so within the same plant. Although deuterogamy is functionally cross-pollination, this is not self-pollination involving a pollinating agent genetically. It is similar to autogamy since the pollen grains come from the same plant. Now genogamy, transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of a different plant. In here it's different plant, so the only type of pollination which during pollination brings genetically different types of pollen grains to the stigma. Agents of pollination: two biotic, water and wind, and one biotic, that is animals. Now in animals, so majority of plants use biotic agents for pollination. Only a small proportion of plants use abiotic pollination agents. See in the diagram, cell pollinated flowers, first diagram, second diagram cross pollinated flowers, and third diagram showing the cleistogamous flowers having the chasmogamous flowers and cleistogamous flowers.